Coach, great to have you.
It's great to be back. Thank you.
Welcome back. Yeah, I guess it's been, now, some have asked, is this your first time back to the state since 2012? Is that right?
It is my first time back. And, first thing I'd like to do before we get started is congratulate Braden. That's an unbelievable feat. And I love offense, so congratulations. You did a great job. Second thing is Wally over there. I really did like Wally. I'm not sure what that was all about. But I did get a phone call one time from some guys in Montana in a bar that said, hey, there's some guy named Wally Hall here that's asking questions about you. What do you want us to do to him? And that's the truth. That really did happen. I said, I'll be nice to him. He'll be all right. But this is a special city to me, Little Rock. I had some great times here and some great memories. And I think back about touchdown pass that Casey Dick threw to London McBride in the right corner of the end zone to win the LSU game, our first year here, the very last play of the game. And really the impact that one play had on our program. It allowed us to go out and recruit with a smile on our face and have a lot of energy and send us into the off season really believing that we were able to compete and get after it, and really I thought helped us for the next 3 years. I thought that one play really lifted us and helped us. Another play that I really remember is right before the half. There's 6 seconds to go in the half, and Ryan comes over to me, and I said, let's run doubles right 72 Z topper. And he kind of looked at me, and I said, yeah, go run it. And unknowns to Berline, we were not going to take a knee.
We'll have that clip a little later, too, yeah.
And Ryan threw a great pass. Colby Hamilton, who always owned this stadium down here, he had his best games in Little Rock, made a great catch. There's always a little bit luck involved. We had both safeties run into each other and knock each other out, and then Colby ran for a touchdown. The only complaint I ever had on that play was because of the crowd standing up and shaking the bleachers so hard, we weren't able to see the end zone copy of it very well. But it was an unbelievable play. And then another play here in the stadium was when it was 4th down. I think it was either 4 or 6 to go. And it was like, do you punt? Do you try a field goal? We're up on LSU, but not by a lot. And then I looked to Coach Smith and I said, what do you think? Should we go for it? And he said, well, we didn't come to paint. So I said, all right, baby, let's go. And that spring, we spent the winter practicing for a look that LSU always ran against us. It was a 3-4 max blitz where they brought everybody. And the year before, when the game went in overtime down down at LSU, they would just sit their safeties and try to play the sticks. So they would just play what we called sticks coverage. So Joe ran a little double move. He stuttered at the sticks and then went by him. And Ryan threw a great pass. We scored a big touchdown, and it was an unbelievable win there too. So those are some great memories. One thing we did have to always practice before we came down here for a game was we had Gary Smith running the stadium. So we did always have to practice when the scoreboard goes out. This is how we handle it.
Oh no, that doesn't happen anymore, Coach.
It was just something that we knew was going to happen, and we had to get used to it. Hopefully they got it fixed now, so that would be a great deal. But when I was contacted about coming here, I immediately shocked Frank when he called me, and I said, yeah, I'd love to. And I've had a lot of people ask me, about it, but I wanted to be able to come here and apologize to everybody, the fans, the players, and truly tell you how sorry I am for the way it ended. But I also wanted to come here to thank you for everything that people in this room and in the state did for me and my family. You were great to us. You know, you're a special group, special crowd, and you don't really understand how much effect that y'all have on the players and their families and the support, and how much that means. And you know, there's no question the Hogs can come back, but they're going to need everybody's help here. So stay with them and keep supporting them, because you are what makes the University of Arkansas a special job. There's no question about it.
I wanted to be full disclosure, as Coach referenced. I was watching to see if you were going to be back in coaching this year. If you weren't, the minute I saw that you weren't, I reached out to Frank Fletcher and I said, Frank, would you reach out to Bobby and see if he'd be willing to come? And so Frank did and connected us with Bobby. And one of the things I love about this, as you all know here at this Touchdown Club, we oftentimes have to pay good sums of money to get our speakers in, former coaches and former players. And I kept asking Coach Petrino, I said, Coach Petrino, how much you want? He kept ignoring me. He said, Coach, how much you want? And he said, and he's not charging one single dime for being here today. So I just thought that was Now, even though our screens aren't good, I want to show, let's look back at 2000. Bob, if you could go back to 2009 over at the Embassy Suites. So that was a crowd. I don't know if you can see that, Coach. Much like today, had a full house. And the next shot is that I believe it's, Bob, you can punch up the next one. It's Mike Beebe was the governor back then, 2009. So you know about this Touchdown Club. And when you walked in the room, what are some of the emotions you see when you see it sold out 24 hours? Did you expect that?
I mean, I didn't know what to expect, but it looks familiar. You know, it reminded me of being here before. It reminded me of traveling around the state, all the Arkansas clubs. And, you know, like I said, you're a special group. The support that you give and the energy that you provide for everyone is something that's really special. And I appreciate y'all being here today.
Coach, you said one of the things about the situation, the circumstances of when you left the state, you really didn't get a chance to say goodbye. You didn't get a chance to say to the fans, hey, listen, we built something great the time I was here. You didn't get a chance to talk to the team as a whole. You had to text them. How difficult was that at that situation where you couldn't do that because like you did today? How difficult at that time was it not to have that opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, it was hard, but, you know, it's something that happened a while back. Like I said, something I'm truly sorry for. It was the hardest thing was not to be able to see the players and talk to the players and, you know, guys that truly made a total commitment to our team. You know, we had some great teams and some special teams, but it was because of the players and the camaraderie that we had and the energy that we gave each other. And, you know, you picture all those players in your mind and think of how much sacrifice and commitment they made to the University of Arkansas and to our football team. And, you know, I was just very fortunate to be able to coach a bunch of guys like that.
Let's look at, Bob, if you punch up some numbers, a couple numbers I want the crowd to see. So 21-5 and number 5. And what that is, that's the last 2 years of your record at Arkansas and where you were ranked with the AP, number 5. I know that a lot of fans, since you left, it's been a struggle to be successful. But when you look at those numbers, it certainly showed that you were able to do it. As you said, can these fans have hope that the program can get back to that what you did, it can be accomplished?
Oh, no question about it. You know, it's always going around in circles. It's the toughest conference in the country. There's no question about that, and the toughest division. Besides Alabama, you know, everybody's had their ups and downs. So it's just one of those things where you get a young group, you're able to keep them together. You know, we were fortunate to be able to keep our guys all together, and they took their lumps when they were freshmen. We played a bunch of freshmen. They got better when they were sophomores, and we went to the Liberty Bowl and froze, but got a victory. And then the next year, you know, we had Ryan back again, all those young receivers and tight end, and we're able to, you know, bring us down to the BCS Bowl game down in New Orleans. Or I had to do a much better job of coaching. You know, that was one thing that we always took from that game was scoop and score. Because, you know, it's really my mistake not working on it enough and not being able to do it when we blocked the punt. And then we came back the next year when Ryan was gone and Tyler Wilson stepped in and did an unbelievable job and brought us to the Cotton Bowl, which was a lot of fun. You know, that's where I first started. I was here as the head coach, but I was watching another group of men coach our team at the Cotton Bowl, and that's when I first started to really understand what it meant to be a Hog and what the fans were like, and a really enjoyable moment. You know, there's no question about that.
When you left the Falcons to come here, did you ever have any doubt in your mind that you could achieve that kind of success? Did you come in here? I mean, you know, without a doubt, that's what you're going to be able to leave at 21-5, number 5. Did you have that kind of confidence coming in?
You always have doubt. Hey, honestly, every job you ever take, you're nervous and you have doubt and you wonder, and you try not to show it. You know, you try not to show it. But there's, you know, I was nervous coming here today. There's no question about that. If I woke up this morning and felt like it was game day, you know, cut down on the coffee a little bit, and, you know, but you always have that doubt. And I think the one thing that you know, made it so special for us was that we were able to keep our coaching staff around, have some really good guys, and the support of the state. And like I said, you have no idea the energy that you can give to those young guys and their parents. And, you know, social media is a hard thing nowadays. There's no question about that. But really, it's not that hard on the coaches because you really don't pay a lot of attention to it. You can't. There's too much to do. But it is hard on the players and hard on their parents and hard on the locker room when a player gets on there and reads, you know, he didn't do something well or he gets criticized on social media. And it doesn't matter how much you tell them, stay off social media, don't read it, don't do this. It's just the way it is right now. That's what our society is. So be as positive as you can and continue giving them great support like you always have.
I was looking at the numbers during your stay here, your 4 years. 34-17, you averaged 8 wins a year, four losses. 17-15 in the conference. Since you left in the next 7 years, we're 13-43 in conference and 35-52 overall. So obviously the fan base has been through a lot. And you mentioned coaching in the SEC West. Just as a guy who's been there, done that, and taken something and built it up, how difficult is it to play the Alabamas and the LSUs and the Auburns week after week?
Yeah, it's a tough conference, and it's hard. I always like, you know, someone would always say to me, well, you got Alabama at home, you got LSU at home, this should be a really good year for you. I kind of always looked at it the other way, that when you had to go play those teams on the road and you got the other teams at home, this is when you really had a chance to be successful. Because really what you have to do to start with is win all your home games. You know, and that's something we really try to put a lot of pride in and put a lot of pride in our players, whether we were playing in Fayetteville or Little Rock, was, hey, this is our stadium and we're going to win our games here. And that's one thing I love about Little Rock was when we won all our games here and had a lot of fun doing it. So it was a lot of fun.
So I know Coach doesn't want to comment about what's going on in Fayetteville, just out of respect to Coach Morris. But I did want to ask, because we've seen as Razorback supporters the last couple of years, they've struggled to find the right quarterback. So not applying it to them, but for you, when you had a quarterback competition, what were the ingredients that you looked for in a quarterback that was going to be your number one guy? What were the most important things?
Yeah, well, first of all, I feel like it's the hardest position to play. You know, there's no question about that. You have a lot of responsibilities out there, and most of them are on the field, but you also have things that you have to do off the field to help your team and help everybody else out. You know, some of the traits that we always looked at was somebody that was a great leader, that could make the guys around him better, lift people up, be positive, not negative. And that's something we always had to work hard with Ryan Mallett on, because he was such a competitor that if things didn't go well at times, he would get upset. And he did a great job of changing that and learning how to be positive when things weren't going well. You know, you got to have the ability to throw the football. There's no question about that. That's the game that we live in right now. But I think it's a really hard position to play, you know, and I think that you have to be able to get the other players around you to be good players. You know, I used to get asked the question all the time, you know, how do you get your quarterback to play so well? How do you get your quarterback to perform so well? And one of the ways to do that is get the other 10 guys on the field to do their job really well. Then as a quarterback, it all becomes a lot easier, you know, and everything works together. But, you know, competitive spirit, great leadership, enough intelligence to really understand what the coach is trying to accomplish. You know, you got to be on the same page as the coach, because you are an extension of what goes on in the practice field and what goes on in the classroom. You now have to take it out on the field and run it. So I think those are the main things I've always looked for.
I did want to mention, since this, well, obviously Coach Petrino coached at Arkansas, if you're a former Razorback player, why don't you stand up? Let's recognize you. If you're a former player, I know we have several here. Please stand. Let's just come on. Don't be shy. Stand up. Stand up. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now, I noticed two quarterbacks that were here. One is Freddie Marshall, came up, said hello, won a national championship, the only quarterback to ever lead the Razorbacks to a national championship in 1964. I see Ron Calcagney over there next to my old roomie, Ricky Williams. So, Coach, you and I were talking last night. I played for Lou Holtz. And when I was on defense, I always used to say, thank goodness I'm on defense and not the quarterback. Because Lou, Ron, right? Lou would really put the pressure on you and would really grind on you. Are you that kind of coach to where you're going to put your quarterback through extra pressure, maybe more than any other player? That's your style, or no?
I always thought I've been known as a player's coach. I don't know. Whatever that means. I'm not really sure. You know, I really like to put pressure on the quarterback in practice to perform well. I like to get them out of their comfort zone and see how they do with that. And I do think that it helps them in the game understand that, you know, it's changed in the game. We're coming to the sideline. We're talking about positive things. We're talking about what we're going to do next. And they relax and perform better. I also think the hardest thing for a quarterback is to be able to handle criticism and be able to take criticism from everybody. You know, they got to take it from their coaches, from the press, from, you know, other players, because a lot of it is always put on the quarterback. And I always tell them that you made the choice to play that position, and that's what goes with it. You know, but you do have to learn how to handle it.
Speaking of quarterbacks, let's punch up a couple quarterbacks. I just want you to tell me something that comes to mind. First, Casey Dick. That was, you mentioned the first quarterback you coached at Arkansas. If you remember, Casey Dick came in, when you came in that first year, his first two games were back-to-back 300-yard passing games. First time that had ever happened in the history of Arkansas. And then you referenced, which we may play this clip in a second, the Miracle on Markham 2. Just talk about Casey as a quarterback.
Yeah, Casey was one of the most positive young men that I've had the pleasure to coach. You know, he always wanted to do whatever you could ask him to do. I thought he did a great job that year of handling the ups and downs of the year. And I think that was one of his strengths, was he's able to put stuff behind him and move forward and stay positive and look forward. You know, he had the great win here against LSU when he came in and threw the touchdown pass, but also a big win that year at Auburn. You know, that was a huge game for us, and I think he caught a touchdown pass in that game and threw one and ran in a 2-point conversion. So, but his effect on everybody else was nothing but positive, and he helped everybody else come to practice every day and get better.
Let's see if we can punch up. I don't know how the quality of video we have up on there. Let's punch up the Casey Dick pass to beat LSU in your first year here at Arkansas. To London Crawford, there it is.
Yeah, so we got the ball late in the game, and we needed to go down and score. And we're running a 2-minute offense here, and I think our guys did a good job of getting lined up quick. And we were try to get the first down on an option route, and he saw press out there on London, and then just made a perfect throw and a great catch by London.
What's his reaction here, too, Coach? It was such a big play for him to end his career on.
Yeah, it was a great way to end your career. There's no doubt about that. And, you know, he didn't have everything go right that year for him, so to be able to come back in that game off the bench and throw a touchdown pass to win was something that put a smile on everybody's face.
Let's go to the next quarterback, a guy that I think he sat out your first year, but was a key in building Arkansas to what it was while you were there, and that's Ryan Mallett. You put that big Ryan's picture. Ryan was a guy that had been at Michigan, and obviously there had been a change in coaching staffs there. Talk about Ryan Mallett and what he meant to the program and you getting him.
You know, the uniqueness about Ryan was the first time I talked to him, he said, "Coach, I've always wanted to be a Razorback. That's how I grew up, wanting to be a Razorback, and I'm just excited to be here." Obviously, he's a little taller than I am. But, you know, one of the taller quarterbacks that have had great success. You know, there's statistics that they study and everything, and there hasn't been a lot of guys over 6'6", 6'7", that have had success, particularly in the NFL. But, you know, Ryan was just a great student of the game. He loved the game of football. He loved being around it. His mom and dad were really strong, and his dad was a coach, so he had grown up with it. You knew when you told him something and he was looking at you that he could picture it in his mind and understand exactly what you were saying, and then he would go out and compete and try his hardest to do it. And, you know, the year that he did not play, he had a great effect on our team. We used to practice Sunday nights with the players that didn't play in the game and the red shirts to get Ryan reps in the offense and to give him looks at the offense, even though he couldn't play that year. And it was also for the assistant coaches. You know, we had some tough losses and some big losses. I think one time in that year we played Florida, Alabama, and Texas all back to back to back because of a hurricane. They changed our schedule, and they were all ranked 1, 2, and 3 in the country. So we needed to see a little light at the end of the tunnel. And Sunday night's practices were all about that.
If you could, Bob, punch up, you mentioned that 6-second play with LSU. If you can, get the volume up pretty hot. Listen to this.
Either way, you're going to see Ryan Mallett take a knee, I'm sure, here. Now, listen, I said 100% sure there was going to be a block on that last play, too. And I mean, look at this. They're going to let Ryan Mallett, he's going to take a shotgun snap. They're going to put one up.
Mallett in the pocket. Throws it up over the top. Right on the button. Watch out. It's a breakaway. Colby Hamilton. 10-5. Can you believe it?
It doesn't get any sweeter than that.
So he comes back. If you watch right here, watch him. I don't know if he's pointing at you or who, but watch when Ryan Mallett comes off the sideline here. Let's see. It's a right. And the stadium was so loud at War Memorial right there with 6 seconds left. That's the safety that ran into the each other. But I think he came off the stadium, off the sideline and pointed. I don't know if it was you because you made the call.
Yeah, he probably, when he pointed at me, he used another finger. Most of
now,
the time.
you mentioned you mentioned the didn't come to paint play. That was a key fourth down play. Let's punch this up, and I want you to talk about just the play call and then just what a great move, what a great offensive receiver move this is right here, if we can, by Joe Adams.
Yeah, and we practiced this all year. The year before, like I said, we got beat by them, so they would sit, and we called the play solid tap. So what that meant was Joe would come out, tap his feet, and then try to do a double move and go for a touchdown. If the safety got too much depth, he would snap it at 12 to 14 yards so we could still have a chance for a first down. And then the outside receiver ran a 5-yard in underneath him. And, you know, we worked it all year. I even made our defense put in their pressure where it was a max blitz, so we did it. Just knowing that, hey, this could come up
waiting for
again.
that moment, all that time. Do we have that in the back, Bob? Maybe, maybe not. No, not that. We want a video. Here it is. Here it is right here. Now watch this. Now let this keep running, Bob. There it is. That's when he was pointing to the sideline. That was the time, Coach. Now watch the move here. It's not right here on this. It's the next cut. Coach, talk about this move by Joe Adams right here.
So jump comes off,
boom,
taps his feet at 6 yards. That's the honey badger that bit on it. He was a little too hungry. And Joe took it right by him and Brian made a great throw on it. So it was an awesome way.
What a big win that was. Obviously, Ryan Mallett rewrote the record books. That's good, Bob. Rewrote the record books in passing. But then you had your next quarterback, number 8, Tyler Wilson, come along. And he did the same thing. I don't know exactly how many records that Ron Mallett broke, but Tyler Wilson comes around and breaks 29 passing records. And if there's a picture of him, Bob, you can punch up there of Coach and Tyler Wilson. Talk about him and the kind of player he was.
Tyler could really throw it. I mean, he could throw with anybody. Some of the throws he made better than Ryan could. We were fortunate, I guess, that he got mono. You know, his freshman year, he came in the second half of the Alabama game and took us right down and scored. And then we come out on Monday and he's sick, and he's really sick, and diagnosed with mono, and he couldn't practice for, I think it was 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. Because your spleen enlarges when you get mono, so they wouldn't even let him out on the field. But that came back to save him some time there at the back end. But he could throw the ball as well as anybody I've been around, and he was as tough as anybody I've been around. You know, Chris Redmond was a guy that was really tough that I coached at the Louisville. But Tyler, he would take a licking and keep coming, and stand in there and just show courage. Which helped our entire team. You know, he was as tough and as courageous of quarterback as I've coached.
A lot of talk on the Hill about the receivers they have now, some really dynamic receivers. Bob, punch up the 4 receivers that your quarterbacks had a chance to throw to, guys that were superstars. Colby Hamilton, it's a still shot, Bob. Colby Hamilton, Jarius Wright, Joe Adams, and Greg Childs. Talk about those 4 quarterbacks. I mean, some sort of receivers, yes.
Yeah, you know, they were just a great group, to kind of take it the other way. But Greg Childs was a guy that was big and physical and explosive, could do a great job in one-on-one matchups versus press coverage, made a lot of big plays for us, really tough, a tremendous blocker, and liked to run after the catch and break tackles, and he made a lot of plays for us. Joe was a guy that was committed to USC when we got here. Tim Horton had done a great job in recruiting him and his mom. He had always stayed in contact with him, even though he was committed there. And we were able to convince him we were going to throw the ball, and he'd be able to catch the ball and make a lot of plays. As good a guy running with the ball as anyone I've been around. You know, we probably should have lined him up at tailback more, but we had good tailbacks. But we did pitch it to him a few times, and he took them for touchdowns. And then the punt returns that he made, you know, were unbelievable. His ability to stop and start and change directions. Jay Wright was just as fast as can be, still playing. He's doing a great job. He was kind of like Ryan, you know. He only had to be told one time about, you know, what the offense was, what you do on this play, and then he could go out and do it. Just a great learner. Played 3 different positions for us while he was here. Excelled in all 3 spots. Whether it's outside running go routes, inside running option routes. Jay could really do it all, and just a great young man to coach. And then we had Colby Hamilton, who was the youngster. You know, the only thing about Colby was he gave me a hard time in recruiting, man. It was hard. It was like, okay, Colby, you're ready to commit. And he was ready to commit. I'd schedule a home visit. I was ready to go in. Well, no, I think I'm going to take one more trip. So I said, well, I'm not coming in to visit you at home until you know you're ready to commit. So cancel that trip. Cancel the next one. Finally, he commits. Always had a huge smile on his face. Was probably as talented as any of them. Big, fast. Could really run after the catch. But really liked his hair. You know, he had pretty hair. He had long hair. There was one time where I'm calling for him. I'm on the sideline. Colby, Colby. And I couldn't find him. And then so I just had to call a different play, and then he comes up next to me and taps me on the shoulder and says, Coach. I said, where were you, combing your hair? And he just started laughing. He's just a guy that always enjoyed life and always had a smile on his face, never let anything, and he thought of himself as a cowboy. You know, he liked horses, he rode horses. I've seen a few pictures of him with a cowboy hat on and in the saddle. So it takes all kinds to make a football team. I think that's what's special about football players and football teams is everybody comes from other places, other backgrounds, other colors, whatever it is, and you got to mold them together and become one. And those group of receivers really helped us do that.
Of course, you need to mention DJ Williams real quick. What a great tight end, Mackey Award winner. How important was he to your offense?
Oh, wow, DJ. DJ is as special as they come. You know, first of all, so talented in what tight ends had to do. Run routes, catch the ball, as tough as guy to tackle as there is. A really, really good online blocker, you know, could work with tight ends or block man, could pass protect. You know, tight ends are kind of like quarterbacks. It's a really tough job. DJ was good at it. A special personality. You know, he always had a smile on his face. He was always trying to screw around over somewhere. You know, and he really didn't like it when I would get on him about that. But one day I called him in the office. I said, hey, DJ, here's what you need to understand. All right, I know you enjoy life and not anything affects you, so you can goof off, smile, and go out and play really, really well. I say, but when you goof off and smile, it affects Ben Cleveland. Ben can't concentrate and focus. He's laughing at you. So that's one thing you have to know in football is everybody gets prepared a little bit different. Everybody is different, but what you can't do is affect somebody else in a negative way. And I think once DJ understood that and where I was coming from, things got a lot easier and a lot better between the two of us.
Did want to show real quick one other video, and that'll be it. One of the great games, atmospheres that's ever been in Fayetteville was when you played Alabama when they were #1. And the first 2 plays of the game, Bob, if you can find that video, just let this run from the first play. It was a completion, I think, for 30 yards, and then you had the Ronnie Wingo will route. If you can punch that up, Bob, let's take a look at this because I don't think I've ever heard Razorback Stadium in Fayetteville any louder. And, of course, this was the year that, you know, you felt pretty confident you had Alabama for sure. Bob, you got that? Here we go.
So we always took the kickoff. You know, we didn't defer, so we take the ball first. So obviously we won the toss here. Really bad snap, but Ryan did a good job of catching the snap.
Yeah, you're right, Coach. Watch this. I didn't catch that.
Makes a good fake, and we called this play Blaze 39 right, Z wheel, and he hits Jay Wright on the drag, and Jay Wright was really fast right there. A great job of being ready to play. You know, I think that's the thing that shows up there is how ready to play we are. And the excitement that was in the stadium always helps you.
If that wasn't enough, now play number 2. They're going to replay this one more to the right.
See the catch Ryan made on the snap, and Jay Wright just flew by on his crossing route. And, you know, like I said, he could do a great job running with the ball, and I think we're looking at it again here.
So did you know with this play right here, did you felt it was going to be available for Ronnie Wingo on the wheel?
Well, we want to peek at the wheel. That's kind of one of the things we did. We changed our strength, so their outside linebackers were based on who's coming depending on the passing strength. They got a little fouled up, and Ronnie Wingo made a great job running down the sideline, making the catch. Now, Ronnie was a special player for us in the passing game. His ability to run routes, catch balls, and he played a lot of different roles for us.
That's good, Bob. When you look back at that game, you're leading by, I think, 10 or 13 in the second half. Is that one of those ones you look back and just go, just knew you had them there? Or do you even look back at those kind of games?
A little more than that, actually. I mean, those are hard ones. You know, it's hard when you prepare, and our players did a great job getting ready for the game. They went out and performed well. We had it right in our grasp. And you did, you know, a couple things that allows you not to win the game. And you don't get that many chances at that against Alabama. And there's always, like, anytime you lose a game like that, you can look at, oh, okay, this one play affected the game. Oh, no, well, this one, if we would have done this, we win the game. If we'd have done this, we win the game. So there's like 15 plays in that game. If we would have just done something a little bit better, a little bit different, we had a chance to win the game. And I guess that's why football truly is a team game.
Do have to show, before we get out of here, too, one of the great thrills for you as an offensive guy and a quarterback's coach is to coach a Heisman Trophy winner. Lamar Jackson, obviously, coached. Great picture here of you and him. Not only does he win the Heisman yesterday, and obviously he wins the starting job for the Baltimore Ravens, those 5 touchdowns. Talk about Lamar Jackson and how cool it was for you to coach him.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a special, special young man, and that's before any athletic ability at all. You know, he would come to practice every day, happy, smiling, ready to go out and work. He was a tremendous athlete as far as his speed and change of directions And what he did in practice is every time he ran a ball across the line of scrimmage, he ran all the way and scored. And we would be calling plays while he was jogging back in our no-huddle offense. And, you know, he just made everybody around him better. His energy and excitement. He could throw the ball as well as anybody. You know, he could throw the post, the go routes, the comebacks. He just got more notoriety because he could run so well. But if he didn't run, he could still play quarterback. He could still throw for, I think, 31 touchdowns and 300 and some yards in his sophomore year, the year he won the Heisman. But his energy and excitement makes everybody else better, makes everybody practice better, makes it better for the coaches going out to practice. So, you know, that's what you're saying when there's been statements like good players make themselves good, great players make the guys around them good. There's no question that Lamar is a great player.
All right, last question. Future of Bobby Petrino. Obviously, you want to get back into coaching. You want to go. You like the college game. You want the pro game. What are you looking for? What kind of job would you like to have?
Yeah, you know, I don't know. I'll wait and see what happens. I got a couple things I'm doing right now that are taking up a lot of time, and that's what I had to get used to, was that the clock ticked really slow for a while. But so we're starting a couple franchises in the state of Colorado with my youngest son, a deal called Hot Works, where you actually go work out in infrared saunas. And I really liked it, not only because of the sweat and the workout, but it really helps your joints and gets rid of some of my hip pain. So we decided to do that, and Bobby will do a good job with that. I am in the process of writing a book about offense with a guy out of St. Louis that I helped him get his doctorate degree. He did a little study on our team, and I'll see how that comes out. You know, it's a lot more work than I thought it'd be. I thought it'd be easy, you know, just record things and then write it up, but it's a lot harder than I thought, and we'll see how that comes out. But you know, I've always felt like football was a way of life for me, not a job. So I do miss it. I miss being around the players. I miss the trying to help players, you know, excel and become the best they can possibly be on the field and off the field, you know, and understanding their responsibilities in the classroom and getting their degree, and them understanding how much that really means and how much it can help them when football is over with. Because that's one thing college players need to understand, is that it ends at some point. You know, whether that's after college or 3 years in the NFL or 10 years, whatever it is, at some point it's over with, and you're a young man and you got a lot of life ahead of you. So you got to try to prepare them for that. I miss being around the coaching staff. You know, I love sitting around with the coaches and game planning and you know, working with them on preparing the guys. And then Saturdays are a little boring right now. You know, the competitive spirit is still there, and I'm trying to get myself in the best possible shape I can. And if I get another opportunity to coach, I'm going to come out and do the best I can.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bobby Petrino, everybody. Great job, Bobby.